tribal politics, genuinely complex problems of identity are feeding into the culture wars. And in Britain, this is playing out in the vigorous debate about transgender rights.
Do you understand? Well, let me finish. Let me ask you a question.
Perhaps the most intractable culture war issue.
They are legitimate areas of concern. You can't just call everyone who disagrees with you transphobic.
At this Pride event in England, proud expressions of transgender identity are on show.
Police fraternise with Pride Parade.
Cleo, who campaigns for transgender and gay rights, is joining the festivities. But she's also mindful of a backlash.
We're almost experiencing a crisis of visibility. There are conspiracy theories that trans people are taking over because people feel like they see more trans people around them.
Like many in the transgender community, Cleo says negative media coverage is one reason the issue of transgender rights has become so noisy and divisive in Britain.
There is a sort of cyclical relationship between the media and the political establishment. It just shifts copy. It's almost soapy in a very grim way. At the heart of this quote unquote culture war are individuals, people who just want to get on with their lives. And instead they're having to deal with the constant pressure of this manufactured outrage.
The media may be a factor, but transgender rights have become a uniquely toxic and polarizing issue. So what else explains why the opposing sides feel such animosity? Perhaps no other issue speaks more to a fundamental sense of identity and self on both sides. On one side are transgender rights activists who insist on an unqualified legal right to be recognized as the gender or sex with which they identify.
It's a culture war between those who believe that trans rights are human rights and those who believe that they're not human rights, or that those rights should somehow be restricted or controlled.
We are sex under the Equality Act 2010, like it or lump it.
On the other side, many so-called gender-critical activists say this argument is disingenuous and point to the fact that transgender rights are already protected by law, something they're not opposed to. What they oppose is a change in the law to self-identification, whereby anyone can be legally recognized as the sex with which they identify without any medical gatekeeping. They say this would allow any biological man into any women's space and override hard-won women's rights.
The argument is not about whether there should be legal protections for trans people. There should be. The argument is whether we should change these existing legal protections to, as soon as a male says, I feel like a woman, according to this idea, they should have access to all the spaces and resources and rights that a woman has. That's the bit I'm objecting to.
This is a debate where convictions are deeply rooted on both sides.
It's like a civil war. Both of them are kind of fundamental doctrines. Both sides are making kind of strong, principled, far-reaching claims. And that's why it's so difficult to reach a compromise. An irresistible force meeting an immovable object.
Okay, comments. I really like this because it's going on both sides.
Well, you know, this does have a lot more balance than what we've been hearing. But, you know, to me, it's just like it's unfair to choose one group over another. So, you know, just like the example they just gave about the you know, a guy that changed to a woman, he wants to be recognized as a woman. Okay, but then what about the women who, you know, who've already existed in this space for, you know, their entire lives, that are not comfortable with what they know is a man in a stall next to them, which, you know, maybe it's a, you know, a small percentage of times that this happens, but, you know, there's rapes that's happened even in schools. with this, this being the ability of a boy being able to go into the girl's bathroom and, you know, utilize it how they choose. But like, that's the whole thing. Like, my whole thing is like, your rights end where mine begin. So we have
Yeah.
to be fair. Like that's the thing.
So
Like, I mean, we have to
where
try
do
to be
you
fair.
where at what point can you find like some kind of compromise? Where can you see the groups working together forward? Because like my whole point of even playing this is, like I say, the point of all of this stuff is just to distract the people so that we can't get nothing actually done.
No, I've heard your point on that, in which I do not agree with. I totally disagree that's the only motive, because like I said, this is not people just playing. These people are actually going to get surgeries. These people are actually, like, changing who they are, what they look like, and everything, just to fit into this this feeling that they're having. So it's not just, like I said over and over again, this is not just a
But
conversation.
people have been doing this forever, bruh.
Yes,
Forever.
but the problem is, and see, the thing is that the people that are encroaching or trying to step over the line is asking other people to compromise instead of the ones who's actually being the aggressor.
Yeah. All I'm saying is the gas prices, the food prices, the freaking inflation, that shit is way more important.
But see, you're distracting the conversation now with
But I don't
that,
think that
because
it's more important than a male who identifies as woman to be able to use a woman's facility. That's bullshit, bro. Because
because
we all on here have sisters, mothers. I have a
exactly,
daughter.
and how do we
And if
protect
I'm in
them?
a
How do we
public
protect them?
place, I don't want my daughter go use the restroom and she comes back terrified
So,
because there was a man in there using the bathroom, bro. Like we gotta,
staying,
like
yeah,
these are
wearing a
big
dress, but
issues, bro. Because pedophilia and these perverts, this is a real issue, bro. And these little girls and boys are being raped at an
I want to
all-time
say this.
rate, bro.
Look.
Like
Let me say this. Let me specify this before we get too far in this, because I do not think that each and every one of these transgenders are, like, pedophilic or trying, sexual, predators. But
I don't
we have
believe
to leave space.
that
We have to
either
leave
place
space for
have
those that are,
that will use the shit.
and the
We have
So then
protection
you
of,
those that
and the
are
protection.
you demonize the whole group on some prejudice type of situation. And
No,
we
no, that's not what's
I
happening.
tell you
Don't do
what,
that. Don't do
cut
that.
out the demonizing. If you if they feel like it's demonized, the way to cut that shit out. Hey, it's fine for you to be a transgender person, but because you identify as woman or you identify as man, don't mean that you get to use their facilities. Don't mean that you get to play their sports. Don't mean that you have rights, the
And
same
see,
rights
but
that a woman has. Like we have to cut that part out. That part has to
see,
be cut the fuck out, bro.
now, if they go the whole, yard, like, cause I would, maybe if they're gonna go sit down, and like they can't even, they don't even have the option of standing when they go pee. Like, if they actually, because these are people who are dressing up and looking like women, but they still have the genitalia there to act as a man.
see, look, this is the reason why we can't have universal health care. This is the reason why we pay so much for
We probably
insulin
shouldn't. We
and
probably shouldn't have it then, because I mean,
freaking antibiotics. This is the reason why it costs so much when we go to the freaking
that's not
hospital.
why. No, that's not why. That's not why. I mean, because I mean, if that's something that we as a people are going to focus on, we can do that. I mean, yes,
We can't. We
it
can't
gives you.
because we get to
You
arguing
don't.
about this.
No, y'all don't, because other things are more important. Because see,
Man,
that's the whole thing.
my thing is you can't make one more important than the next. There has
Look,
to be a balance. There has to be a level playing field. And the fact that okay, that these people they want to be this certain
it's the pointing of the finger. It's the pointing of the fingers. The people
Saying
who's causing the
shouldn't
problem
supersede
want the other
their
side
shit.
to solve it. That's the biggest problem here, is that the people who are being the aggressors, who's causing these issues to have us to talk about, because they want to be something that they know they're not, and want us to follow and be under the illusion
But look,
along with
why
them.
why is it so political now? Like I say, they've been having these people forever.
Because they're forcing it more, and they're trying to grow their crowd. Like they're trying to be, like, look, I get that they're.
How do you know that's really happening and it's not the media manipulating and blowing that shit up?
How do we know that?
Yeah, how do we know that it's so many incidences of all of this stuff?
Okay,
And
I mean, are we gonna talk in hypotheticals, or are we gonna talk it real? Because I mean, yeah, I mean that's a possibility. Now what?
well, that's what I'm saying. So then that's what I'm saying. It's if it was been going forever, why is it political now? That's my point. It's because it's a tool to get people to not pay attention to what the hell we need to be paying attention to, fixing our freaking economy.
Okay, I mean,
Where our food is being grown.
But what side is doing that, bro? Because like I see people on the left pointing the finger at the other side, at the right, but on this subject, because and honestly, like really, even the CRT is coming from the left. What we call, at least what we considering to be the left. Like, I mean, we're talking about people who are being, like, I don't think you're seeing it or hearing me, because you've already made up in your mind that anything that we're saying, we're the ones that we're the problem.
I'm not saying that. I'm
Well,
saying
that's what it sounds like to me. Maybe I'm too lopsided and feel like I'm the one that's being, like I'm not being considerate about the whole thing. But when it comes to my child, am I supposed to say, oh, fuck my son, fuck my, my nieces and nephews and cousins and all that, fuck them, and let all these people just have their way and do the same thing that made Rome fall? Like a society has already shown us proof of what happens when you go down this road, and people who step up to fight against it, they're the bad guys, because they're the ones out on the street willing to fight for the shit that they believe
I
in.
think it's another way to pull people's strings. It's like a puppet. It's a Pinocchio. It's what's they find which one that really bothers you, and then they pull
all
on
right,
it.
well, you tell that to a transgender. You tell that to a transgender that they full of shit, and they just trying to, or even the politicians that support it. You tell them
that the media is blowing up something that's not really a pandemic.
all this shit is a lie. All your feelings and everything that
it's just like the CRT topic. That's the reason why they're covering it here on this video. It's the same thing.
I mean,
it's just
we've talked
fire.
about it, and we know that like it was totally named improperly. So I can get along with that being more of a political ploy than this whole, because I mean people are actually changing everything about themselves for this. Like we got children, like I mean, we're seeing like the basketball player, I don't know if we can say his name or whatever, but got his son, doing, like a lot of that stuff I think is they were paid to do stuff like that, or they're able to be a part of the society, the cool crowd, or the in crowd, because they're helping promote this type of lifestyle. But like really, like, what's the word for it? Like, I mean, underestimating, or like really saying like it's just that. No, bro, like it's bigger than that. At least it has become not what it started out as, maybe, but what it has come to. It's the real deal. This is like
Well,
this is probably the biggest fight of the century.
it's going definitely a big fight. So that's what it's saying. It's like, why is hate fueling politics? So, and then one side, hates the other side,
Yeah, but see,
and they
your
can't come to
question.
no kind of compromise.
Yeah, but see, your question is why is it so hyper? Like, why is this thing so big now? But that's because before, like in the 70s and like when people were dressing up and they were doing the exact same thing, except that it wasn't maybe not there's no surgeries, or if there was, it was on a low scale. But when we're really looking at it, like there's more people that's trying to have some expression. They're like I don't. Maybe they hate the country. Maybe they want to see it tear down and turn it into something else. I really don't know that part of it. What their motive is behind it, but all I know is that they are the aggressors, and the people who are trying to protect their homes, the ones who want to live more conservatively, and even if they have family members that's doing it, they're not going to be out there in public trying to promote it. They're going to tell you, look, just go do your thing. But you know what I'm saying, at home or in your little community where you at, but don't be trying to overdo this. Don't be acting like like even heterosexual people got to be responsible about their sexuality. Like you don't have the right to come out here and impress your will on everybody else just because of how you feel, and to hell with everybody else.
Let me play some of this right quick.
It's a conversation where many are scared to voice their opinions for fear of abuse or even losing their jobs.
Is that working? We sometimes do get blocked.
And those who do speak out can be polarizing figures.
If you can look at the person next to you and you can say, women don't have penises, I promise we will win.
Kelly J. Keane is an outspoken critic of gender identity ideology and a staunch defender of women's rights.
I think the reason the debate is so contentious and occasionally violent is because we're fighting the truth against some quasi-religious, dogmatic new religion. And so when you talk about things that are true against things that are not, the things that aren't true have to be defended quite violently. And so we see a lot of non-debate from the other side.
Yet that other side insists its opponents are equally dogmatic. It's a culture war at its most intractable, leaving little hope of resolution.
Oh, women. Not all women. I mean the old-fashioned ones. The old-fashioned women. Oh, God. The ones with wombs. Oh. Those fucking dinosaurs.
Little wonder it's causing new fractures across society, including within liberal groups like Britain's Labour Party, where the issue has become a hot potato.
It's transphobic to say only women have a cervix. Well, it is something that shouldn't be said.
Wow. Do you know how insane this is? Like, if what you're saying is true, do you know how genius and diabolical these people are? Because I mean, for them to overall get all of this, publicity, all this talk, the back and forth, all, what I'm saying, like, it's so, like, for them to come up with that as an idea, I would say it was genius, but it's also diabolical at the same time, because it's like trying to force people to like change the definition of what a woman has been for thousands of years, that there was no fault found in before, but now there's fault in we've been having it wrong for a million years now. Like it's insane. So and people wonder why people get so angry, is because it's like you're testing my intelligence every time you bring this shit up.
I think the ones who should also be
Yeah. Just woke up.
More so offended by this shit is women.
It should be.
Look at how long women have fought just for the right to be respected, to